Finally, after a few weeks of unnecessary delay by Bushiroad on revealing the whole list of the Stride deck set,
that escalated quickly.
We finally have a chance to talk about two of the brand new Stride deck set, Nightrose and Hari. Of course, since Nightrose did get all of her card review first, I'm gonna be talking about her first, and it is very interesting. Like, I feel it took them 4 tries,
Too many!
but finally they might have found the right spot on how to properly make a Stride deck set that is not weak to an extent that you can't bring it to competition, but not so broken that it might take over the whole meta.
A bold claim.
But why on earth I'm saying like that? That is exactly what I'm gonna be talking about today. As usual, we have to start off with the right line, and we can kind of jump straight to the grade 2 of the right line, since the grade 1 and the grade 0 more or less do the same thing. The grade 1 generate the grades and give you free draw. The grade 0 is just your typical D starter. So nothing much to talk about here.
No. He's got a point.
So what does Pirate Swordband Colombard actually does for the deck? Well, this unit is actually a holo unit.
And then,
When this unit is rolled upon by grade 3 card with Nightrose in its card name, you can Soul Blast 1, look at top 7 card of your deck, choose up to 2 normal units without Sentinel among them, review them, and put a card among the review card into your hand, and discard the rest of the review card and shuffle your deck. This unit also has a Rare skill where when this unit attack and it is holo, this get 5k until end of that battle. For those who don't know,
holo
is a skill that can trigger as long as you call it to Rega Circle, where you put a holo unit into what we call a holo state, and at the end of the turn, you have to retire it if you chose to go holo. So for this unit's second skill, you do use Colombard to call in the earlier part of the game, or in the cases where you do not have any better target to call, he does the job enough as a Rare Guard. But the best part of this unit obviously is on his on-ridden skill, where you can essentially just fetch out the grade 3 cycler that help you to discard and get a free draw for the stride, while also helping you to set up your drop as well, to be ready for the on barrage of drop zone superior call that the deck is capable of. As we obviously have Vampire Princess of Nightfog Nightrose. This is the usual Nightrose that we come to know and love, but for those who do not know her ability, she has 2 abilities. One of her ability is a once per turn generation break 2. When your Rare Guard is retired, you can discard top 3 cards from your deck and you may call that retired card to Rega Circle. And then when your G unit strike during your turn, counter blast 1, choose up to 1 card from your drop, call it to Rega Circle, and that unit plus 2k until end of turn.
Am I a joke to you?
I'll say this now, the 2k is negligible for this strike skill, but the fact that you can call anything from your drop is really huge, especially considering the best target to use for this particular skill is a Lagoof. The amount of cards you can call by this effect and the amount of possible combo you can go into, it's almost endless with this card. There is a reason why the original Strider Nightrose is known as one of the strongest first form of the Striders that we have received to date. And we haven't even talked about the GB2 skill, which does help you to revive back a card that will help you defensively in a way. And fortunately enough, Bushiroad does design a card that fits this particular skill like a glove. But some of you might be asking, doesn't Mew 3 actually hurt the deck a lot because, you know, being Grand Blue and everything? Well, fortunately enough, her crest does alleviate that issue just a little bit, as we have the crest of Nightrose herself. I'm not gonna go through the first 3 skill because it's more or less the same thing. It allows you to strike and you cannot write anything else other than Nightrose, and original power of Nightrose become 13k, and then plus 5k for every face-up card in your G zone during your turn. So just a good same old crest skill, with the exception of her unique skill. When 3 or more of your cards are discarded from your deck at the same time by your Vanguard ability, do note this is during either player turn. Choose a card from among the discarded card and you may put it on the bottom of the deck.
Synergy.
Essentially, this just lessens the impact of the Mew 3, as you can return 1 card back to the bottom of the deck. It can be triggers, it can be PG, essentially anything that can kind of extend your deck life just a little bit longer without losing too much of your triggers, ratio and everything. And in fact, this is kind of like a filter skill, a reverse one at that. The only issue that I'm seeing with this card is that the RNG is still there.
Of course!
And if your RNG is really bad with the Mew 3, you are screwed either way.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Fortunately enough, the support that we receive from the deck set itself does help the deck a lot, even if you still need some external help.
money, money, money.
And just to make life a little bit easier for me, I'm not gonna be going through the card that is more or less a duplicate of what we have seen before or doesn't really have enough impact for the deck. So I'm sorry for those who want to see Nightstorm and Tommy the Ghosty. They're not gonna be talked about much in this video. So let's start off with the actual first support with Cam the Ghosty. This unit has 3 skills. The first skill is being hollow, and the second skill is when placed on red card from hand. If you have a Nightrose crest, you can look at top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card among them, discard it, and shuffle your deck. This unit is also a 13k unit if it is in hollow state. So yeah, this is essentially a poor man's Philander.
Stop it. Get some help.
So yeah, the waifu tag is real for this time round, and fortunately enough, Bushiroad is aware of that and give us something that is not as strong but does have its use, because this allows you to use it as an early game rush card which can self-retire at the end of turn, because you don't have to have a specific Vanguard to actually go into hollow state.
Excellent.
So it does have its plus and it does have its minus. But overall, I do say do not underestimate Cam the Ghosty, because it is a perfect budget version of Philander. However, compared to the other grade 1 that we are getting in this Strike Deck set, I would say Cam feels pale in comparison, as you have Witch Doctor of Powdered Bone, Negro Bone, the same old Negro Bone that we all know and love. This unit only have 1 skill, where at the end of the battle this unit plays from drop this turn boost. If you have a Nightrose crest, retire this unit and draw a card. At a glance, you look at the skill and you'll be like, wait, call from drop by any means?
I don't like where this is going.
Yes, as long as you can call this card back from drop, you get a free draw. And who recently in Stoicheia roster that we got recently that actually fulfilled that role exactly? Oh wait, it's John Cena! This kind of raised value of Alvina even further, as now this deck has a turn 1 rush engine.
Hey yo, what the f—
Where if you're going second, you can just call Alvina on turn 1, call Necrobone that you discarded for right deck cost, and essentially just start rushing and draw a lot of cards.
It never ends.
So essentially, Necrobone is a part of a grade 1 rush engine, which Nightrose is, I would say, excel in, especially considering a lot of strong grade 1 in Stoicheia that is compatible with this deck, especially considering we have another card that actually play into that early game rush that the decks seem to try to steer toward too, and that is one of the last cards that was revealed for Nightrose, Marauding Shed. This unit has 3 skills, one of which is a hollow skill, where when this unit chooses to become hollow and you have a Nightrose crate, this unit gets 5k until end of turn, but if you have 10 or more cards in your drop zone, it gets 10k instead of 5. Its third skill has a very similar condition, where if you put this card into guard circle and you have Nightrose crate, you get 5k shield, and it becomes 10k shield increment instead if you have 10 or more cards in your drop.
It's amazing.
This is a very powerful card, and if you look at the way it kind of play things, it feels a little bit like a pseudo broccoli,
Nani?
where you have a card that allow you to be called in the earlier part of the game and actually can be used as a defensive card just to keep your damage low, so that you have a little bit easier time to play into the later part of the game. And Marauding Shade play exactly that role, but it is also play as a very powerful late game unit as a free 20k beast stick that doesn't ask for anything else aside from it needing to be hollow.
That was easy.
Which play extremely well with Nightrose, as this card is a prime target for Nightrose GB2 skill, making sure that you have at least 115k shield on the field before your opponent start attacking or retiring or controlling the shenanigans that your opponent deck will do. So yeah, as much as it looks like a very simple card, it does a job so effectively well, regardless of whether it is in early game or in the late game, to an extent that I feel Bushiroad really focused Nightrose to be a really powerful early game rush and kind of shut itself off for a few turns during mid game before burst during the end of the game.
Interesting.
But before we talk about endgame of the Nightrose, we have to talk about one last support that this deck received, and that is Necrobone.
Wait a minute.
Are you fucking dumb?
The Witch Doctor of Vanguard. This unit has 3 skills as well, where it is a hollow unit obviously. When this unit became hollow other than during the battle phase, if you have a grade 3 or greater with Nightrose in its name, counterblast 1, choose a card from your drop and call it to red card circle. And then GB1, if this hollow unit is retired from your red card circle, doesn't need to be retired from the hollow ability. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Nightrose in its name and you did not counter charge this turn, counter charge 1. This card, I can safely say it's more like a backup. When you're up against a control deck in specific, as this allows you to populate your board very quickly with things like Necrobone, Enlagoof, Philander, anything that you need to build up before you go into your ultimate strike turn. But what if you don't want to play Nightrose as a rush deck, and that most of the card kind of designed it to be? Well, technically Necromancy is your solution here, because he does have a strong synergy with the set order engine from this year's festival collection. You see, Necromancy skill technically does trigger at the end phase because of the Nightrose skill, which allow you to superior call any unit from your drop, including the PGs, the triggers, and essentially anything that have a high shield value, allowing you to essentially use that set order skill to go for not only just more shield value, but also perfect card that bypasses guard restrict.
Emotional damage!
And to top it off, we do have the Bell, I think that's her name. This card does allow you to return all the bind card back to your drop zone, allowing you to essentially just loop the deck defensively if needed it to be.
It was perfect. Perfect.
This is just another way of playing Nightrose, but I feel ultimately the deck is still a great one game deck. But we have to tame our expectation down quite sharply as we talk about strike, because we have one strike that I would say is being compromised a lot because of the deck capability and how strong the second strike actually is for the deck, as we have Ghosty Great King Obadiah. Yes, our lovely King, and this unit only have one skill, just like any other first strike that we have seen so far, where once per turn you can flip one G-Zone face up, look at top 5 card of your deck, choose up to one card among them, discard it and shuffle your deck, then choose up to one card from your drop and call it to Rayguard Circle. If you call a card with Holo ability, that unit gets additional 5k until end of turn.
That's it?
Okay, so I will have to say this first. This card is the deck Achilles heel, in the sense that yes, ability to filter mill a card into your drop and just get a free call is a really huge thing for the deck. But the problem with this card is less of how much it can build your board, but rather what it brings at the end of the day.
You suck.
And because of that, the turn you strike into Obadiah is essentially one of the weakest turn the deck has as an Nightrose, because you only do 3 attacks. Especially in the first strike, you won't hit that hard.
But wait!
Here's the thing, the reason why Obadiah is so weak is the fact that it has to pave way for the true main strike that you are going to be striding, and that is of course
It's time to stop!
Miss Phantasm Pirate King Nightrose. This unit does have a unique strike cost just like any other GB2 strike that we have seen so far. Generation Break 2, when this unit attack a Vanguard, counterblast 1, retire to Rayguard, choose up to 2 grade 2 or greater card with different card name from your drop and call them to Rayguard Circle. If your drop has 10 or more card, until end of turn this unit get additional crit, and if your drop have 15 or more card, all those call unit get additional 10k as well.
That escalated quickly.
This is where the power of this deck lies. The ability to go into very easy and consistent 5 attack, because by the time you strike into Phantasm King Nightrose, you already have enough bullet in your drop to essentially just build your best attack board to finish off your opponent, as we can use cards like Marauding Shade and Columbus just to get more power, or even Night Storm, which technically is a 23k based holo unit.
But wait! There's more!
But I would say the best part about this card is not in the fact that she has such a powerful on-attack skill. That is part of her good point. The best part about her is that she can be spam.
What the fuck?
Unlike the other strike decks. You see, what makes Nightrose different from any of the other strike decks that we have seen so far is the fact that to strike into this card is super easy. Thanks to the card that I mentioned earlier in this video, Enlagoof. Enlagoof allow you to essentially just recycle Nightrose back from your drop zone very consistently, allowing you to more or less have a consistent strike into Phantasm King Nightrose every single turn once you reach the requirement for the deck, and the deck gets even stronger as the strike goes on.
Genuinely disgusting.
And this is the reason why Obadiah has to be a little bit underwhelming, because of the spam ability that this strike can reach. But how good exactly is Nightrose as a whole package? Well, the deck has a really powerful recovery engine from the drop zone thanks to it being a Grand Blue deck. The deck also has an insanely stupidly strong early game engine thanks to the supplement support that you can put in like Alvina that does combo well with Necrobone and Marauding Shade, allowing you to have, in my opinion, a jet level of early game rush, or even better in fact. And surprisingly enough, the deck is capable of filtering well enough even with just the strike deck itself alone, allowing you to more or less hitting all the drop zone requirement very consistently, on top of able to defend really cheaply well despite the only draw engine is Necrobone.
Damn, boy, he's sick!
But the deck does have a really huge Achilles heel. First strike. Normally during the first strike is where a lot of the strike deck will build their resource very quickly and try to live long enough to strike into their second strike, which are usually the GB2. But I feel for Nightrose's case in particular, it's a little bit of an Achilles heel because it doesn't hit hard enough to the opponent. So if your opponent want to clap back during the turn before you go into the generation break 2, they can do it very easily, considering we have a lot of deck in the current meta and the coming up meta that has such a powerful turn 4. I'm not sure whether having such a easily breakable Achilles heel is a good idea. And on top of that, very similar to Soga, if you fail to set up, which is possible, I'm not saying it will happen all the time, but the chance is there, you are screwed. And last but not least, it's a little bit of a nitpick, and I think this heavily depends on the way you build your deck. This deck is really bad with soul. So as much as I have been gushing about recycling with Enlagoof all the time, it has a limited amount of soul. So you do have to rely on cards like Alana or any of the other card that is capable of soul charging to actually help you to soul charge so that you can kind of loop Enlagoof in a little bit more consistent way. And that's Nightrose. It's surprising to see it took Bushiroad 4 tries before they actually make a proper deck that is not completely broken, but it is not completely weak out of the go either. That's how I feel about Nightrose. It is really solid deck, but it does have a clear weakness that a lot of the current deck that is in the meta right now is able to fight against Nightrose. So I think it is a very tasteful strike deck set. The only thing that is not tasteful about it is obviously how much the deck has been hiking up a lot of generics price, cause holy fuck, that's not fun. But what do you guys think? Do leave down in the comments below, and yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub button and become a member for some cool perks, and this is Mac Megane signing out.